Welcome to another episode of New to Me. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and today we are taking a look at the Tilta matte box. Let's jump over to the workbench and check it out. Okay, so here we are with the Tilta matte box system. Now we will be using the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. We're using the Viltrox adapter, the 7.1, because it was handy. We're using the 50 millimeter 1.8 Canon lens, the Nifty 50, and we're using a 52 to 77 millimeter now. I will be going 82 millimeter, but my 82 millimeter is going to take a while to get here because of Amazon. Now, this is not the first Tilta thing I've bought. I do have this battery for my V-mount here, and it does give you 2 D-taps and a 12 and a 7 volt. It doesn't give you a 5 volt, which is unfortunate. Also, there's something rattling around in it, so I'm going to have to call Tilta and see if I can get this replaced because something sounds like it broke. But let's go ahead and take a look at the box itself. You get 67 millimeters, a 72, a 77, and an 82 millimeter right out of the box. You get these lovely, lovely Allen wrenches, which we'll never touch because they'll probably just live in the box because I do love this small rig tool that I bought. It's probably one of the best things that I've ever bought. One complaint on this is the flathead is not flat enough. There are just some flathead screws that this will not fit into. It's just too thick. So I'll be looking into maybe the red or something else. But anyway, it works for now. And of course, inside you get the matte box, and then you get this very weird, bizarre rail system thing. And we'll get to this. I'm going to put this over on the side. We'll get to why I don't like that. But let's take a look at the matte box. And right out of the box, this thing is crazy super carbon fiber light. I mean, you could toss this around for days. It is super, super light. Feels pretty well built, pretty well balanced. You do have a great lock on top here, which really does lock this into place really well. This is not going anywhere, so just make sure that when you want to close the flag that you unlock this. Another thing you want to be aware of is that this does come off. So when you do put it back on, make sure that it is pushed and that the hinges are crushed together. Otherwise, you're going to, think that this is closed off and it's not, and light's going to leak through the side. So there you go. Now it does have some interesting things on top. It has like quarter 20s and 3/8 here and a whole bunch of quarter 20s here. And then it looks to have like these mini hot shoes or cold shoes, whatever these are called. Which is very strange, I guess, maybe for if you want to mount a loom cube onto this or something. I don't know why you would, mount this on a camera and then try to mount heavy things on the front, on top of the matte box. That seems a little silly to me. Going around this thing, you do have this little nub here, and that is for a 4x5.6, I think, filter tray. And you can slide a filter in here, which is very, very cool. I love the fact that you can do that. And then what you do is just kind of pull out this nub, which is on a very, very tight spring, very well engineered. Slide your filter in, and that holds your filter in. Very cool. And then in the back, they've developed this very cool, like Arca Swiss type plate mount, where you just kind of spin this and it tightens to the ring. So all in all, very good. Now, one thing I will say is, and I can see it here just out of the box, it is actually bent. This is very flexible, very bendy. This I could probably bend with these 2 fingers. Not the greatest when it comes in terms of build quality. I think it's very flexy. I wouldn't want to throw this in my bag because it would crush like tinfoil. So not really crazy about the build quality. I wish that this were a little bit thicker. Years ago, they used to make like plastic ones, like hard plastic ones that used to just screw onto your lens mount that were this size, that were very much like this. This is okay, but they are keeping it light because they don't want it to mess with autofocus and things like that in your lens. But I think this could be just a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger. Because it is very questionable as to how long this is going to last. But let's go ahead and mount this up on the thing. And let's put in a ring first. Let's go ahead and take screw on the 77 millimeter ring, because I forgot to do that. And there we go. And now we just make sure this is open. We slide that right there, and boom goes the dynamite. You are done. And of course, we'll give it a little bit of adjustment here just to make sure it's level. And that's it. It is easy peasy breezy, very simple to do. You are done. This thing is ready to go. Very, very cool. Very nice. Now, let's take a look at this very odd mount here. Now, it does come with two pieces. I think this is a proprietary piece that I think you need to use with the Tilta cage. It almost looks like it screws into a cage. Very strange. I don't think I'll ever touch this. So that'll go back in the box. But then you have this very weird mount. And let me go ahead and show you how this mounts on. There's a little shoe on the bottom here. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to line this up on the bottom here. And it is very dodgy because it doesn't go in properly. You kind of have to get it just right. And you have to kind of lock this up. And again, as you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but it's not going in straight. It's really very, 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 very dodgy to get this level. But you get it in there. And again, this looks like the shoe on the bottom looks like it can bend. So you get it in there, and the first thing you'll note is even when you put this on the rail, these knobs have a tendency to hit each other and get in the way of each other. And I guess the idea is you would take your rail system, and it's a very tight squeeze, first of all. Even though this is super loose, it is a very tight squeeze. And I guess the idea behind it is you do this, and then you lock this into place. And again, it's already hitting itself. It's already hitting itself, so it's hard to get my big meaty fingers in here and turn this. And I guess that's the idea is, there you go, you would slide a smaller lens in here or your lens, and I guess there's no pressure on the lens. Why you would need this, because this is so lightweight and weighs nothing, and I don't think it's going to interfere with any kind of lens. Why you would need this is beyond me. I really don't think this is great. It's, again, not really made very well. Let's go ahead and slide this off. So see, it's just mounted on this little plate here. And I guess that's what maybe the up top is here. Maybe you can mount it. You can mount it here too. Mount it upside down or mount it from one of these as well. That's probably why they include those plates. But all in all, a very strange little thing. I don't understand why they included this. I mean, I guess to give you mounting options, but it's not really made well. Like, I wish that this knob were on the other side, because if you're turning these are colliding and getting each other's way. It's hard to get your fingers in there. So all in all, this mount is just meh. Not crazy about it at all. Not really sure why you would build something like this. Just mediocre. And again, I'll probably most likely never ever use it. That will stay in the box and never to see the light of day. So that's pretty much it. All in all, this is a pretty nifty, very well designed, if not a little bit weak matte box. And let's go back to my main table for my final thoughts. Okay, so what do I think about the Tilta matte box? And well, I think it is beautifully designed. It reminds me of back in the day, they used to sell ones that were made out of plastic, but they either were only for one lens mount and then you had to get rings to adapt them. They were plastic, they were heavy, they messed with the autofocus. This is very well engineered and designed. It is quite beautiful. It has got this fantastic flag. The flag is removable. You do have to be careful with the flag because when you put the flag back in, you have to make sure that this is absolutely pushed together. Otherwise, you're going to be letting light in. But all in all, great flag. I really love the fact that it has the 5.6 filter adapter here. That is very cool. And of course, you get this very robust spring, which holds it in. Very cool. I love this kind of Arca Swiss type mounting plate. I think that is fantastic. The fact that they did that, so you can buy, it comes with 4 different rings and then you can buy other rings. That is excellent. It's really a great design. And of course you do get all these 1/4-20s and 3/8 up top. Although I don't, and what looks to be like mini shoes here, mini cold shoes here. Don't really know what you would use that for, considering this is on what you would mount to that, considering this is on a lens and you don't want to make this any heavier. But all in all, really well thought out, nice design. Very, very cool. Now let's talk of some of the cons. And well, that is this thing. While it's lightweight and it's very well engineered, it is very thin. As you can see, I don't know if you can see on camera, but this is a little bit bent in. This came with me just taking it out of the box and handling it. I actually think it was bent in the box. This is so thin that I can bend it with these two fingers. So I really wish the carbon fiber were a little bit stronger, even if it makes it like a gram or two heavier. It's just way too thin. Some other things, it does have these mounting points. Again, weird that they're up here. And then the very strange thing is the shoe down here and that very odd rail mount that it came with. It's not very good. It doesn't really mount. You have to kind of fiddle with it to get it mounted on the bottom. It's very janky. The knobs, when you put it on a rail system, bang into each other. Really don't know why I guess they were trying to give you kind of a rod option. But it's not really working. It doesn't really work very well. That really needs to be rethought out. And plus, I'm going to be this is so lightweight, I'm going to be throwing it on a lens. It doesn't matter what lens I'm throwing it on. I'm going to be throwing this on a lens. Now, also, another con is that this is $100. This is not something you're going to throw in your backpack, because if you do, or your bag, because if you do, it's gonna crush like tinfoil. And for $100, that's a little bit pricey to replace. So every time you crush this thing, and again, I know every 4 to 6 months, I'm probably going to be replacing this thing. So for like anywhere between $60 and $80, that would probably be a better price point for it. Now let's talk who this is for. And I'm going to start out by saying who this is not for. This is not for anyone who's doing narrative filmmaking. If you are doing action scenes, if you're running around with this, if you're picking up your camera, moving from location to location, you are gonna want to keep your honking, tough, solid matte box. You are not gonna want to run around with this thing. It is just not gonna hold up at all. If you're in the crowds filming concerts, people are bumping into you and you're trying to film the crowd, you're not going to use this. Now, you will use this on things like maybe documentaries, sit-down interviews, weddings, not in the crowd, but like at the actual weddings, or when you're doing the bride and groom stuff. When you're doing, you could use this on music videos and short films. What I like to call park and barks, you can use this on if you're making a narrative film or a short film. But you're really not going to use this with anything that requires a lot of moving around and position changing and where it could get damaged, because this thing will crush and break very easily. You could also use this on a gimbal because it is nice lightweight. Just make sure that it's not going to smack into your gimbal or you're not going to hit anybody with it. But putting this on a gimbal is not going to add a lot of extra weight. So yes, definitely for a gimbal. But all in all, I wish that the actual matte box itself were just a few grams thicker, very much like the old plastic ones. I think that this is just a little too thin. But all in all, a beautiful design. If you're looking for something affordable, something small, lightweight, this is a pretty darn good option. Just keep in mind that for anywhere from 20 to 50 bucks more, you can get actually a big honking, like real matte box that's going to be solid and last you a good long time. I've had my matte box, I think, about 15 years. And I got that from Adorama back many, many years ago, and it's still in my bag today. But if you want to scale down, if you're going small, this is pretty good. I probably will take that matte box out of my bag and put this one in my bag, but I'll keep this in the box because if I just throw it in the bag, it's going to get scratched and bent and crushed. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the Tilta matte box. I think for design, it gets an A, but for durability, I'd kind of give it like a B minus C because it's already bent right out of the box. So that's it. Those are my thoughts, but I'd like to know what you thought. So drop your questions and comments in the notes below if you are so inclined. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.